Good evening there, military anglers. My name is John, and I decided to start a YouTube channel to show you all the good fishing spots on military bases. So, the first one I want to show you guys is a place called Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Now, when I started fishing all these military bases, I had to do all the legwork to find all the good spots. And to save y'all guys time and gas, I decided to show y'all guys on Google Map where all the hot spots are at. So the first one is going to be Fort Belvoir, Virginia, which is outside of Washington, D.C., as you can see from here. And actually, Fort Belvoir is pretty nice, and it has like one of the best Army hospitals in the entire Army. It's brand new, and the medical care is awesome there. But for now, we're going to talk about fishing. So obviously, if you go on Fort Belvoir, you'll find out what Route 1 is, where the main gate is. So here's the roads, here's Route 1, and here's Fort Belvoir, and right here where my pointer is the main gate. So all you gotta do is go into the main gate, and all you gotta do is go all the way straight until you hit Warren Road. You're gonna make a right on Warren Road, and then once you come past this field, you're gonna make that first left. And this will take you down to the RV park on Fort Belvoir. Obviously, right next to Fort Belvoir RV park is a fishing pier. Now, right here, this fishing pier is awesome. Awesome for big catfish. Now, the trick is for this pier is like there's high tides and low tides. Due to the fact that this river is so far away from the ocean, is the high tide and low tide still affects the waters here. So the main thing about this pier is you use beef cubes. That's correct, beef cubes. If you use beef cubes, you'll catch some big catfish here, anywhere from 10 to up to 40 pounds. Now the trick is to catch those 40 pounders is you have to be able to cast at least 60 yards from the pier. If you can cast 60 yards in this general direction, there's a channel out there, and that's where all the big catfish hangs out at. But believe it or not, all you need is beef cubes to be able to catch those big catfish in this area. Also in the month of May, there's a fish called long-nosed gar. You get tons of long-nosed gars that'll be swimming underneath the pier. Now the trick of catching those guys is they have a very bony jaw, so getting a hook set on them is damn near impossible. So best thing to do is take a triple hook, let it sit on the bottom, and wait for them to swim over it. Once they swim over it, you want to time it where you can snag them underneath the gill, and you'll be able to pull them up. Second place on Fort Belvoir, you go back up here to one road, and all you gotta do is just go straight down to the bottom of this hill, and there's another pier. Now here is also good for big catfish out in this area, but in this little cove area, there's tons of crappie. And all you gotta do is need a bobber and like a 18-inch leader with a small plastic jigs, and just reel it in real slow, and you'll catch a 5-gallon bucket full of crappies in this area. Be able to fish on Fort Belvoir, you obviously got to have a state license from Virginia. I don't remember Fort Belvoir having a fishing permit for the base itself, but if you have any questions about it, you just go here to the archery range. They actually have an indoor archery range right here. It's pretty cool. And then here on the back side, you can see right here in this area they have an outdoor archery range. So that's pretty much Fort Belvoir fishing tips. The awesome good spot, another good spot in the area is a place called Occoquan River. Old Town Occoquan is actually a pretty cool little town. It's got a bunch of little shops through here. So if you want, you can bring the wife, drop her off, give her some money, and you go fishing. Wow. So what I've done here, I've marked some spots on here where I've done really good on the Occoquan River. So obviously here's Ox Road or Gordon Boulevard, and then you come to here to Old Town Occoquan, And this spot right here underneath the bridge isn't really that good. Me and my son, we never caught anything underneath the bridge. But along in this marina area where the boat dock's at, there are this thing called snakeheads. If you don't know what a snakehead is, go ahead and Google it. And actually, believe it or not, it's an invasive species, so it's actually against the law to throw them back in the water. If you catch a snakehead in Virginia, you are by law have to kill it and just leave it. Put it back in the water, you can actually get fined for it, believe it or not. So that's the marina. The next good spot here in Occoquan, you take this, you follow this road all the way up Mill Street to the end where you come to the roundabout. You can park your vehicle right in here, but there's this old bridge right here that you can walk across. Right underneath the bridge is good for catfish. So there's just like this little trail that goes round along through here, and underneath the bridge is like a rock shelf. And catfish is good, but on your main line to your sinker, you want to have a breakaway line because there's a lot of rocks in this area, and your sinker will get snagged. So the next good spot is called Occoquan Falls. There's a lot of snakeheads back here, bass, smallmouth bass, and catfish. But the trick to get to it is you go across this bridge and you walk along this tree line, and there is kind of like a steel cable gate right here, but you can jump over it. And you just walk along this tree line, and then there's this trail right here that goes down. It goes down to here to this clearing area, and it's really rocky, so there's a lot of smallmouth bass, bluegill, catfish, and snakeheads in this area, and it's actually not a bad area to fish out of. So that is called Occoquan. And also right here at this corner is actually a really cool VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. So if the fish ain't biting, you can stop in there and have a beer. They actually have a full tournament shuffleboard in there, which is really cool. The last spot I have for this area, which is one of my favorite spot of all, is called Quantico Marine Corps Base. It's not too much of a drive, but you come down here to Triangle on Route 1, and then you have Quantico Marine Corps Base. Now on the other side of Quantico, there's this old town called Old Town Quantico, and it's actually got some bars and some shops, and it's pretty cool. But my favorite spot of all back in Virginia was the park. So you come down to Potomac Avenue to River Road, and then you come to this little parking lot, and there's actually a basketball court here. Now we have a few times taken our truck onto the grass and taken it out here and unload it, but you have to park your truck back at the parking lot. But right here though is a concrete wall. There's like this concrete wall right here, and it's like a really flat grassy area. It's really nice for the family. And if you're going to fish either in Fort Belvoir or here, if you're going to use a little bass pole, you want to be sure you want it tied to a stake, because I've a couple of times had a pole fly off into the water. If you're going to fish these waters, you definitely want, like, I always use a 10-foot surf rod, to tell you the truth, with at least 50-pound test, because there's fish out here that I've seen break 30-pound tests. But if you get to Old Town Quantico to the park, there's a really nice grassy area right here with a concrete wall, and you'll catch 10 to 20-pound catfish just using beef cubes. That's all we ever use. Everybody else saying use garlic or use something else, but we always use beef cubes, and we did really well. Another good spot here in Quantico, they actually have a pier right here. And this is not too bad of a spot right here. Also about this park here in Quantico, if you don't like crowds and you don't like fighting traffic, 4th of July is a good spot right here, because they have a really intense 4th of July fireworks show. So if you don't want to go where there's a lot of crowds or you want to fight traffic, this would be the best place to come to. So besides that, if you get stationed in Quantico or Fort Belvoir, those are the 3 best spots that I know to catch fish at. So if y'all guys ain't got any questions or comments, just post it, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Alright, thank you and have a good night.